Okay, welcome back to episode 16 of the Sense of Time tutorial. Last time we left off after getting the checkpoint in the observatory corridor and dying to load the next area. Note that you should be in this corridor with at the very least 2 sands. If you're a beginner, you should probably have 3 sands so you're able to do the easier route and still be able to continue. So now for this corridor there are 2 possible routes. The faster but harder one I'll show first, and afterwards I'll show the beginner friendly route. Okay, the one zip here is quite hard just because you have to fit a lot of inputs into the rewind, and if you just lose a bit of time on aiming or steps or whatever, the whole zip will not make it. Okay, it goes like this. For the setup you just wall run on the right side of the door frame. The inputs then are 3 daggers, side roll, 2 daggers, side roll, aim straight, parry, delayed jump swords, walk steps forwards, normal steps backwards. Because right in front of you is a cutscene, and if you hit that you will game over and restart at the checkpoint. The zip is fully fast rewinded, which means you fast rewind until the rewind stops by itself because you ran out of rewind time. Unless your PB is sub 45 or even sub 40 minutes, I would not advise you to do this zip because it is quite hard and saves maybe 10 seconds over the easier route. As for harem zip, the 2 critical points of the zip are the aim, which should be straight, and the height the delayed jump sword gives you, which should be around 1 or 2 meters above the ground like you saw in this case. There's one version of failing the zip which still lets you continue, and that's when you don't fully zip the first 3 daggers, so you go a bit too short and you land in the courtyard. If you land in that courtyard, you can continue as the second route, which I'll show you in a bit, will tell you. Okay, now for the easier zip. For that one, you position yourself by doing a wall run under this dark square. You turn around, center the camera and zoom in, and then you do a dagger and a side roll to the right. You first person, aim straight, do a dagger and steps. The dagger is slow rewinded, and after the dagger is done, you switch to fast rewind until the area goes black. You then should land in the courtyard with the next corridor not yet loaded. That's okay. You just hit the loading trigger manually, which is located here. And with the next corridor being loaded, you simply can fast parry through this door. From here on, you casually continue up until the ramparts. So at that very door frame, there's a cutscene we want to zip over simply to save time. And for that we do a fast roll zip. The aim is not precise at all. You also cannot directly die from fall damage. All that matters is that you land down here and you go to the sand cloud, which you then pick up. Next we'll do a jump zip onto the next ledge, which you do by going up this little wall where the enemies can't hit you. You do a jump, a lot of walk steps, and then rewind them. You then should hang onto this ledge and be able to continue. Now for the next zip, we have to talk about the so-called first-person glitch. So for entering prison, there are 2 routes to take. The first one is quite simple. You just casually continue and go into the cutscene. And the second one is a zip paired with the first-person glitch, which I'll explain in a second. That one saves around 20 seconds. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the first-person glitch. The first-person glitch is a controller-only glitch that lets you basically change the direction the prince is facing in by doing tiny inputs in the first-person mode. And you can practice that, for example, at the 57% save here in caves and with this ledge. Now there are 2 general applications of first-person glitches. First of all, it's applying it when you hang onto a ledge. And the second one is the one we'll need for the next zip. For the zip into prison is the one where you stand on an invisible ledge and you want to change the direction you face in. That doesn't work on normal ledges like these ones, but you can still practice it here. Because what you do is you go into first person while standing on this ledge and you gently press left on your analog stick with which you move. So for example, if I do that here, if you look at my controller, really slightly to the left, and then the prince has turned 180 degrees on the ledge. Well, on an invisible ledge, he would have turned 90 degrees, but yeah, this would prove that you did it correctly. Because if you're not gentle enough, like now I'll do it really, really ungentle, like left, and the prince will just move on the ledge. But if you're really careful, the prince will not move, but turn 180 degrees. Well, now I did it really carefully. Like you can do it a bit quicker. Just experiment what speed you can do. And as soon as you turn 180 degrees, you successfully did the first person glitch while standing on a ledge. Okay, now that you know how the first person glitch works, let me tell you that there are 2 instances in the current any percent route where first person glitch is faster in some way. The first one is this zip, which you can do if you play keyboard only with no controller attached. And the second one will be in the last minutes of the run, which again, if you don't have any controller, you will have to do a zip where the current any percent route can simply do a first person glitch. This is just to show you that even if you run this game on keyboard and mouse, you will need a controller if you want to go fast. Okay, for the zip, you fully go around the corner. You go into landscape view, so the camera changes when you jump. You then do 2 consecutive jumps, you wait a bit, 2 jumps again, walk a bit to the left, and then do steps by scrolling the mouse wheel upwards. Everything is slow rewinded until the pause between the jumps. In that pause you switch to fast rewind until all the jumps are done. You then should land down here, sometimes a bit more left, sometimes a bit more right, but you should be in front of this wall at around this height. Okay, you then should line up with this darker line on the wall. You go into first person, you do a first person glitch to the left, then should turn 90 degrees, and you walk forward until you're next to the prison platform where you would end up after the prison cutscene. Note that while that ledge walk, you hit the loading trigger for the bottom of the prison, just so if you miss that trigger for whatever reason, you know where it is so you can hit it manually. Now for the prison zip, to set this up you want to the left of the middle of those doors. If you're too far left you will grab onto the ladder. If you're too far right, the parry you'll do will target this weapon rack and destroy your aim. Okay, again you go into landscape, zoom in a bit, so the camera moves when you jump, so you have an indicator when to switch rewind speeds. You then do parry, jump sword, sword, jump sword, sword, jump sword, parry, jump sword. Reset camera, do steps. You start the rewind slow, and when the camera goes up for the second jump slash, you switch to fast rewind. You then should safely land in this corridor with the next part not loaded yet, that's fine. The loading trigger is located right at this door. If you fail the zip and die from fall damage, that's no problem, because the platform you landed on in upper prison is actually a checkpoint, so you simply can try this zip again. Note that you can do the prison zip without the first parry jump sword. That one's just for safety. If you have a good rewind speed switch, you don't need that first one, because you will be low enough already after the 3 jump swords. Also, just as before, the prince here turns invisible again because you skipped a cutscene where he changes his texture by ripping off his clothes. This one's not a problem because after you hit the button, open the door and enter the torture chamber, you kill the prince to get in a consistent start position for the next zip. And that also brings your texture back. Alright, this is where we leave off for now. Thanks for watching, and the next episode will start right here in the torture chamber.